At an exquisite bistro in the city's vibrant core, a graceful and composed black woman arrives, ready to mark her birthday with elegance. However, her evening takes an abrupt turn when an arrogant waiter and an apathetic manager treat her with thinly veiled disdain, dismissing her reservation and leaving her unattended while others are promptly seated. As murmurs intensify and indignation simmers, the establishment's formidable and resolute owner steps through the door. What the staff doesn't realize is they've profoundly misjudged this venerable black woman. The late afternoon sun dipped beneath the skyline, painting the urban canvas with strokes of gold. Streets buzzed with vitality. Couples strolled hand in hand, friends shared laughter en route to dinner, and street musicians wove melodies into the air. Amidst this city symphony, Olivia Grant, an elder black woman, exited her vehicle, pausing to absorb the lively ambience. She gazed at the luminous sign above Blossom Bistro's entrance and smiled. Its elegant ivy-clad facade radiated warmth and allure, perfectly complementing the upscale yet welcoming interior. Olivia had always felt a profound connection here, not merely for the exquisite cuisine and refined decor, but because this place embodied something deeply personal, a testament to triumph and unwavering resolve. Her daughter, Sophia Grant, had founded Blossom Bistro 5 years prior. It began as a humble aspiration, forged through arduous labor, sleepless nights, and unyielding determination. Olivia had been an unwavering presence, offering encouragement and, at times, even lending a hand with painting walls and arranging furnishings. Now the bistro was a thriving hot spot, attracting a steady stream of patrons and acclaim. Tonight, however, wasn't about reminiscing. It was about honoring the present, Olivia's 65th birthday. She had secured a table the day before, envisioning a tranquil evening filled with mirth, delightful food, and perhaps a thoughtful surprise from the familiar staff. She wore a navy blue gown, understated yet elegant, adorned with her mother's pearl necklace, a cherished heirloom that grounded her, a reminder of the strength and fortitude passed down through generations. As Olivia crossed the threshold, the familiar symphony of clinking glasses and soft melodies enveloped her. The inviting scent of roasted garlic and fresh herbs permeated the air, instantly awakening her appetite. She surveyed the room, observing the gentle candlelight reflecting off polished wooden tables, each graced with fresh blooms. The atmosphere was spirited yet intimate, precisely what she had hoped for. Her gaze swept across the room, seeking a familiar face among the employees. Instead, her eyes landed on an unfamiliar young man behind the counter, perhaps in his mid-20s, with sharp features and a pristine uniform. His name tag read Ethan Moore. Olivia approached the counter, her heels softly clicking against the floor. She offered a warm smile. "Good evening," she began. "I have a reservation under the name Olivia Grant." Ethan barely looked up, his pen rhythmically tapping against the reservation ledger. "Grant?" he echoed, flipping through the pages with a detached expression. "Yes," Olivia affirmed, still smiling. "I confirmed it yesterday." Ethan frowned, his eyes scanning the list before returning to her. "I'm not seeing that name here," he stated, his tone flat. Olivia blinked, momentarily taken aback. "Are you certain? I spoke with someone on the phone. They assured me the reservation was noted." Ethan emitted a faint sigh as if already wearied by the exchange. "I apologize, madam, but we're fully booked tonight. There's no table available." The words struck Olivia more sharply than anticipated. She had envisioned this evening so differently. Clearing her throat, she tried again. "Would you mind double-checking? I made the call myself." Ethan raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "I've already checked. As I said, we're at full capacity. Perhaps you can try somewhere else." The suggestion stung. Olivia's smile wavered, but she kept her voice steady. "I understand it's a busy night, but I've been a patron here since this establishment opened. I'd truly appreciate it if you could." "I said we're full," Ethan interjected sharply, his tone devoid of any pretense of politeness. The bluntness in his voice made Olivia pause. Something about his gaze, dismissive, almost condescending, sent an unsettling ripple through her. She had encountered this feeling before too many times, the sensation of being judged, overlooked, or dismissed simply because of her appearance. But this was her daughter's restaurant. She shouldn't have to feel this way here. Taking a calming breath, Olivia straightened her shoulders. "May I speak to the manager?" she inquired. Ethan's eyes flickered with irritation, but he nodded and vanished into the back. Olivia stood at the counter, her hands lightly resting on the polished wood. She could feel the glances of a few nearby customers, their curiosity thinly veiled. She smoothed her dress and waited. Moments later, a man emerged from the kitchen. Daniel Lewis, the restaurant's manager, approached with a practiced smile. His receding hairline gleamed faintly under the lights, and he tugged at his tie as if bracing himself for damage control. "Mrs. Grant," he greeted, his voice overly cheerful. "I'm so sorry about the mix-up. It's been a busy night and I believe we may have overlooked something. Let me reconfirm and see what we can do." Olivia softened slightly at his words. She had met Daniel before, a competent manager who had always been professional. "Thank you," she said. "I appreciate it." Daniel turned to Ethan, whispering something Olivia couldn't quite discern. Ethan merely shrugged in response and walked away without another word. Daniel turned back to Olivia with an apologetic expression. "We're certainly full right now, but if you don't mind a brief wait, I'm sure we can secure a table for you shortly," he said. Olivia hesitated, her intuition signaling that something was amiss, but she didn't want to overreact, not yet. "All right," she said with a nod. "I'll wait." Daniel gestured toward the bar area. "May I offer you something to drink while you wait?" Olivia politely declined with a smile and took a seat near the entrance. She folded her hands in her lap, willing herself to be patient. Olivia Grant sat in the waiting area near the bar, her hands gently folded in her lap. The soft hum of conversation and the clinking of glassware filled the room, but Olivia barely registered them. Her thoughts dwelled on the brief, unpleasant exchange she'd had moments earlier with the young waiter Ethan Moore. She glanced toward the entrance and observed as couples and families were cordially greeted and escorted to their tables. Some arrived without reservations, she overheard them admit as much, yet they were promptly seated. Meanwhile, Olivia remained by the bar waiting. She took a deep breath and reminded herself to maintain her composure. Daniel Lewis, the manager, had assured her he would resolve the situation. Perhaps it truly was a mistake, she mused. Errors do occur. But something about Ethan's gaze, the way he spoke to her, left an acrid taste she couldn't dislodge. 10 minutes elapsed. Then 20. Olivia shifted in her seat, her patience beginning to wear thin. She spotted Daniel emerging from the kitchen, clipboard in hand. She raised her hand slightly to catch his attention, and he approached with a practiced smile. "I appreciate your forbearance, Mrs. Grant," Daniel said, quickly glancing at his clipboard before looking up. "I've been monitoring the tables, but we're still quite congested tonight. It shouldn't be much longer now." Olivia nodded politely. "I understand it's busy, but I did confirm my reservation yesterday. Are you sure there's nothing available?" Daniel hesitated, his smile faltering just enough for Olivia to notice. "We're diligently working on it," he said. "I promise." With that, he vanished into the dining area. Olivia watched as he approached Ethan at the counter. Their conversation was brief. Ethan shrugged and shook his head before walking off. Daniel returned to the kitchen, leaving Olivia precisely where she had started. 30 minutes stretched into 45. Olivia shifted in her chair, her unease intensifying with each passing moment. She tried to remain composed, but doubts began to infiltrate her thoughts. From her vantage point, she had a clear view of the dining area. Several tables stood vacant, and more disturbingly, new guests were still being seated, some openly admitting they hadn't made reservations. Her hands tightened slightly around her purse as she rose and approached the counter once again. Ethan was there arranging menus. He barely looked up as she approached. "Excuse me, Daniel," Olivia said, her voice steady but firmer this time. "I've been waiting for nearly an hour now. I've noticed several groups have been seated without reservations while I'm still here." Ethan finally looked up, his expression a mask of indifference. "They had reservations," he said quickly, not bothering to consult the book. "I heard them say they didn't," Olivia countered, narrowing her eyes. "Well, perhaps you misheard," Ethan snapped, his tone sharp. "Look, I've already told you we're full. You'll have to wait or find another place." Olivia felt her pulse quicken. There was no mistaking it now, he was lying. She didn't raise her voice, but her words carried weight. "Are you refusing to seat me because you think I don't belong here?" Ethan flinched, but his expression hardened. "Don't put words in my mouth, ma'am. I'm just doing my job. His words stung more than Olivia expected. She had encountered moments like this before. Subtle acts of exclusion disguised as policies or misunderstandings. But not here, not in her daughter's restaurant. She drew in a breath, steadying herself. I'd like to speak with the manager again, she said. Ethan let out an exaggerated sigh. Fine, I'll get him. Daniel appeared again, his clipboard gone, but the nervous energy still clinging to him. Mrs. Grant, he said, his tone placating. I comprehend your frustration and I sincerely apologize for the delay. We're doing our utmost to. This isn't merely about the wait, Olivia interrupted, her voice calm but resolute. I've observed multiple parties seated without reservations while I'm still here waiting. Your employee has repeatedly told me there are no tables, but I can see empty ones from here. So tell me, what precisely is the problem? Daniel looked caught off guard, his eyes darting briefly toward Ethan before landing back on Olivia. I'll rectify this, he said hastily. Just a few more minutes. Olivia didn't argue, she simply returned to her seat, but this time her patience had completely eroded. She noticed a few customers glancing her way, their curiosity piqued by the escalating tension. An hour had elapsed. Olivia checked her watch, frustration and embarrassment simmering beneath the surface. She was on the brink of departure when her phone rang. A wave of relief washed over Olivia as she answered. Hi, sweetheart, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Happy birthday, Mom. Sophia's cheerful voice filled the line. I can't wait to celebrate with you. Where are you right now? Olivia hesitated. I'm at Blossom Bistro, she said softly. Oh, perfect. Sophia replied. I'm on my way now. How's everything so far there? There was a pause before Olivia answered. I'm still waiting for a table. The silence that followed was thick. Still waiting. Sophia's voice dropped, sharp with disbelief. You made a reservation. I did, Olivia said, but apparently there was a mix-up. No, Sophia said, her tone darkening. There's no mix-up. Sophia's voice turned brisk. Mom, I'm accessing the reservation system right now. Give me 2 minutes. Olivia sat back in her chair, clutching her phone as the tension in the air intensified. Moments later, Sophia's voice returned, low and furious. There are 6 empty tables. No reservations. Olivia closed her eyes. She had suspected as much, but hearing it confirmed brought a lump to her throat. I'm coming, Sophia said. Stay there. The line went dead. Olivia set her phone down and folded her hands in her lap. She could already picture her daughter striding through those doors, a storm brewing behind her eyes. The tension in the restaurant thickened as Olivia Grant settled back into her chair. Her eyes drifted toward the entrance, anticipating her daughter Sophia's imminent arrival. She could still hear the faint echoes of Sophia's voice over the phone, sharp, commanding and infused with anger. But Olivia wasn't angry, not yet. She was weary. Weary of the prolonged wait, the humiliation, and the gnawing realization that this was no misunderstanding. It was something far more insidious. She attempted to disregard the curious gazes from other patrons. A couple seated a few tables away whispered to each other, occasionally glancing in her direction. Olivia compelled herself to maintain composure, straightening her posture and folding her hands in her lap. Another group entered the restaurant, 2 young women chatting animatedly. Olivia observed as Ethan Moore, the same waiter who had dismissed her earlier, greeted them with a radiant smile. He didn't even glance toward the reservation ledger. Right this way, Ethan said, grabbing menus and leading them to a table near the window. Olivia's stomach tightened. She could clearly discern 3 vacant tables in that section. Her jaw clenched as she glanced toward the bar, where Daniel Lewis, the manager, was nervously checking his phone. She stood up and approached the counter. Excuse me, Daniel, Olivia said, her voice calm but resolute. The manager looked up, startled. Mrs. Grant, I was just about to. I require an honest answer, Olivia interrupted, her eyes locking onto his. Why are other guests being seated while I'm still waiting? Why am I being told there are no tables when I can see empty ones from here? Daniel's face flushed. He opened his mouth but no words emerged. Behind him, Ethan hovered nervously, feigning to wipe down the counter. Is this because of me? Olivia continued, her voice growing heavier with each word. Because of how I appear or because you presume I cannot afford to be here? Several patrons turned to listen. Daniel visibly stiffened, his eyes darting toward Ethan as if seeking support, but Ethan remained silent, his back turned. That's not it at all, Mrs. Grant, Daniel said quickly. We're just attempting to what? Olivia pressed, her voice firm. To keep me out? The murmurs grew louder and Olivia caught sight of someone at the far end of the room holding up a phone, recording. She took a breath, steadying herself. But before Daniel could answer, the restaurant door swung open. Sophia Grant stepped inside, her heels clicking against the floor with purposeful intent. Dressed sharply in a tailored suit and with her dark hair pulled into a sleek bun, she exuded authority. The restaurant seemed to quiet the moment she entered, all eyes turning to her. Her gaze immediately found Olivia. Mom, Sophia said, crossing the room swiftly and placing a hand on her mother's shoulder. Are you okay? Olivia nodded, but Sophia could discern the tension in her mother's eyes. Turning sharply, Sophia fixed her gaze on Daniel. What is transpiring here? Daniel stammered. Miss Grant, No, Sophia cut him off. Don't. I already checked the system. There are tables available. I want to know why my mother, who made a reservation, has been sitting here for over an hour while walk-ins are being seated. Daniel's face turned pale. It's just been a busy night and there was a mix-up with the reservations. Busy? Sophia snapped. I can see the empty tables. And a mix-up? My mother has been humiliated in her own daughter's restaurant. Do you comprehend how unacceptable that is? Her voice rose slightly, cutting through the murmur of the crowd. Daniel shrank under her words, but before he could speak, Ethan stepped forward. She didn't have a reservation, Ethan blurted out defensively. I checked the book and her name wasn't there. Sophia turned to him, her eyes cold. And did you bother to double-check? Did you even think to inquire of someone else, or to treat her with respect while you ascertained the situation? Ethan faltered. I just followed procedure. Procedure. Sophia repeated, her voice dripping with disbelief. Is it procedure to make someone feel like they don't belong? Is it procedure to fabricate lies about table availability? Ethan opened his mouth to respond but quickly shut it. I checked the system myself, Sophia said, her voice firm. There were no reservations obstructing those tables. You lied to her, and for what? The room was silent now, all eyes riveted on the confrontation. Olivia stood quietly behind her daughter, her heart swelling with both pride and sadness. You're discharged, Sophia said, her words sharp and definitive. Ethan's face turned red. Wait, no, I didn't mean. I don't care what you meant, Sophia interrupted. You dishonored my mother. You dishonored this restaurant. Gather your belongings and depart. Ethan hesitated, looking to Daniel for support, but the manager remained frozen. Without another word, Ethan grabbed his notepad and vanished into the back. Sophia then turned to Daniel. And you, she said. I anticipated better. You permitted this to unfold right under your nose and attempted to conceal it. Consider this your admonition. We'll be having a discussion about your future here. Daniel swallowed hard and nodded. Sophia then faced the room, her voice steady. To everyone here, I sincerely apologize for what you witnessed tonight, she said. Blossom Bistro was founded on the principle that everyone deserves to feel welcome. What transpired here tonight contravenes everything we stand for. Several patrons nodded in agreement, and one even began to softly applaud. Sophia turned back to her mother. Come on, Mom, she said softly. Let's get you a table. The murmurs in the restaurant hushed as Sophia Grant escorted her mother, Olivia, toward a table near the center of the room. The tension lingered like static in the air, but Sophia's presence had irrevocably shifted the dynamic. The staff moved swiftly to prepare the table, laying out fresh linens, refilling water glasses, and presenting menus. Olivia gracefully lowered herself into the chair, her movements measured and composed despite the maelstrom of emotions she felt within. Sophia sat across from her, her face still taut with restrained anger. Mom, Sophia said gently, placing a hand on Olivia's. I'm so sorry this transpired. It's not your fault, Sophia, Olivia replied, her voice steady but tinged with exhaustion. But it shouldn't have happened. Not here. Not in the place you built. Sophia's eyes softened. You're right, it shouldn't have. She turned her head sharply as Daniel Lewis, the manager, cautiously approached the table. He held a clipboard, but his shoulders slumped as if the weight of the evening bore down on him. "Mrs. Grant," he began nervously, addressing Sophia, and "Mrs. Grant," he nodded toward Olivia, "I wish to apologize again for how this was managed. I assume full responsibility." Sophia raised a hand, cutting him off. "Responsibility isn't solely about apologizing, Daniel. It's about enacting change." Daniel swallowed, nodding quickly. "Of course I'll ensure we review all policies and provide supplementary training for the staff. This was unacceptable and we will rectify it." Sophia's gaze didn't waver. "You'll do more than rectify it. I demand a comprehensive audit of every customer interaction from the past month. I need to ascertain if this was an isolated occurrence or if there's a more profound issue. And commencing tomorrow, every single employee, including yourself, will undergo training on inclusivity, customer service, and unconscious bias." Daniel's eyes widened slightly, but he nodded. "Understood." Sophia leaned forward slightly. "I need to be unequivocally clear, Daniel. If something of this nature ever recurs, if anyone enters this restaurant and feels unwelcome because of their race, gender, or background, there will be no further warning. Do you comprehend me?" "Yes, ma'am," Daniel said quickly. "Absolutely." "Good," Sophia said, her voice sharp. "Now resume your duties." Daniel hurried off and Olivia exhaled, finally allowing herself to relax a little. As their server, one of the more senior staff members, arrived with appetizers and fresh drinks, Olivia picked up her water glass. She took a sip, savoring the coolness before speaking softly. "Sophia, do you know how many times this has happened to me?" Sophia's brows furrowed. "What do you mean, this?" Olivia gestured around the room. "Being dismissed, overlooked, judged. The moment I walked in the door tonight wasn't the first time. It's just the first time it happened in your restaurant." Sophia's grip tightened on her napkin. "I'll ensure it's the last." Olivia smiled faintly. "I believe you." But Sophia could discern something deeper in her mother's eyes, a weariness that stemmed from years of confronting these battles. Sophia leaned forward. "You've spent your entire life contending with these moments, haven't you?" Olivia nodded. "Yes, and I'm tired, Sophia. I truly am." Sophia reached across the table, squeezing her mother's hand. "You shouldn't have to contend anymore," she said softly. "Let me fight this one for you." Meanwhile, the diners who had witnessed the earlier confrontation began to converse amongst themselves. Some nodded in approval as they observed Sophia take charge, while others appeared reflective, perhaps acknowledging their own biases. A young woman at a nearby table leaned toward Olivia. "Ma'am," she said hesitantly, "I just wanted to express my sincere apologies for what you endured. It was wrong and I admire your strength." Olivia smiled warmly. "Thank you, dear. I appreciate that." Another man approached Sophia, holding up his phone. "I recorded what transpired earlier," he said. "I believe people need to see this, to understand it's not acceptable." Sophia paused before nodding. "Share it," she said firmly. "Perhaps it will prompt someone to reconsider before treating another person in the same manner." The man nodded and walked away, and Olivia let out a soft sigh. "It's astonishing," Olivia said, "how quickly the world can witness something now. When I was your age, these incidents would unfold in silence. No one ever believed us." Sophia's gaze hardened. "Well, now they will." A short distance away, Ethan Moore emerged from the back of the restaurant, cradling a cardboard box filled with his personal effects. He avoided eye contact as he hurried past the diners and out the door, but Olivia caught sight of him. For a moment she felt pity, not for his actions but for his ignorance. She hoped he would internalize this experience and learn from it, though she couldn't be certain. Sophia, however, harbored no such tenderness in her expression as she watched him depart. "This isn't merely about him, Mom," she said. "This is about ensuring individuals like him don't get to dictate who belongs and who doesn't." Sophia exhaled, her shoulders visibly relaxing. "I merely wish I had been here sooner. None of this should have occurred." "But you resolved it," Olivia said, looking at her daughter with admiration. "That's what truly matters." Sophia smiled back, but before she could respond, a waiter, one Olivia didn't recognize, appeared at their table carrying a beautifully decorated birthday cake. The cake was adorned with delicate pink and gold frosting, and in the center, elegant lettering spelled out, "Happy Birthday, Mom." Olivia's eyes widened in surprise, and for the first time that evening, tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. "You did this?" Olivia asked, looking at Sophia. "Of course," Sophia replied, grinning. "I ordered it days ago. I intended to surprise you after dinner." Olivia let out a soft laugh, shaking her head. "You still managed to surprise me." The waiter carefully placed the cake on the table and lit the candles, stepping back respectfully as Sophia leaned in. "Make a wish, Mom," Sophia said. Olivia looked around the restaurant. The earlier tension had dissipated, replaced by a sense of warmth. Several patrons who had witnessed the earlier incident offered encouraging smiles. A few even softly applauded as the candles flickered in the dim light. She closed her eyes not because she believed in wishes, but because she desired to savor this moment. A moment of affection, resilience, and triumph. When she opened them, she blew out the candles and Sophia clapped enthusiastically. The cake was sliced and the two women savored each bite. Olivia couldn't help but laugh as Sophia smudged a little frosting on her own nose while cutting a piece. The conversation flowed easily now, shifting from the evening's stress to fond reminiscences of past birthdays. Sophia shared anecdotes from the early days of managing the restaurant, and Olivia recounted tales from her youth, stories Sophia had heard a dozen times but still enjoyed. "I recall how apprehensive you were when you first opened this establishment," Olivia said, her voice laced with pride. "But look at what you've created. It's more than a restaurant, it's a symbol." Sophia smiled, setting down her fork. "I built it for people like you, Mom, for people who deserve to feel welcome wherever they go. And I won't let anyone jeopardize that." Olivia reached across the table, taking her daughter's hand once more. "You've done more than build a restaurant, Sophia. You've built a legacy." Sophia's eyes glistened, but she quickly blinked the tears away, squeezing her mother's hand in return. As the evening drew to a close, Sophia leaned back in her chair and glanced around the restaurant. "Things are going to change around here," she said. "I'll ensure of it." "I know you will," Olivia replied with certainty. Sophia smiled. "But tonight isn't about work, it's about you. Happy birthday, Mom." "Thank you, sweetheart," Olivia said, raising her glass. "For everything." They clinked glasses, the sound ringing softly in the warm candlelight space. The shadows of the earlier confrontation faded away, leaving behind the glow of love, resilience, and celebration. And for the first time that night, Olivia felt truly at peace, surrounded by the warmth of her daughter's love and the quiet promise of better days ahead.